It was just after sunrise on February 20th, 2025, in the quiet town of Carrollton, Georgia. Nestled among peaceful suburban streets and modest homes, one house had fallen eerily silent. Inside, a 5-year-old girl wandered from her room and stumbled upon a nightmare. Her parents, James and Kristen Brock, were lying in their bed, covered in blood. Unmoving, lifeless. Within minutes, 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick was on the phone with 911. Her voice shook. She told the dispatcher her little sister had found the bodies, that their parents were dead. The call was raw, frantic. It sounded like the voice of someone who had just lost everything. Police arrived to find a horrifying scene. James and Kristen had been shot while they slept. There were no signs of forced entry, no immediate clues pointing to a suspect. The murder weapon was missing. Whoever had done this hadn't left much behind. No shell casings, no footprints, just 2 bodies and 2 daughters now orphaned. The story made headlines throughout Georgia. Neighbors grieved, friends gathered in prayer. The girls were taken in by relatives, and Sarah, just months away from graduating high school, was thrust into the spotlight as the surviving child of a brutal crime. She seemed devastated. On social media, she posted messages mourning her parents, sharing photos and memories. Her TikTok was filled with images of her mom, dancing, laughing, living. She posted videos crying, thanking people for their support. For a moment, she was seen as the face of resilience. But then something strange began to happen. In the weeks following the murders, Sarah, or someone using her name, started reaching out to TikTok creators who specialized in true crime content. She messaged one influencer, Janice, known online as Allegedly Reportedly, urging her to look into the case. "This story would be a big hit," she wrote. "You should check out the Brock case. It's crazy." At first, Janice thought it was just another curious follower. But the messages continued, and they were disturbingly detailed. Sarah described how the killer must have known the layout of the house, how the shots had been fired in the bedroom, how the front door had been left unlocked. She even told Janice that the killer probably stayed nearby afterward, waiting, watching. Then came the most chilling line. "They were my parents, leaving them for me and my little sister to wake up to." To anyone reading that message, it was bone-chilling. Why would a grieving daughter describe the crime with such detachment? Why share so many details? Janice wasn't the only one who received these messages. Other creators stepped forward with similar screenshots. Sarah had been active in DMS, suggesting theories, encouraging coverage, even correcting people who got details wrong. This behavior raised alarm bells, not just among influencers but with investigators. Behind the scenes, detectives had already begun piecing together a case, and Sarah's online activity was becoming more than just strange. It was suspicious. They found more than just messages. There were search histories, browser logs, and digital footprints left behind that told a different story than the one Sarah had publicly shared. Police have not revealed the full extent of the evidence, but they've described it as mountains, both physical and digital. On July 8, 2025, 5 months after the murders, Sarah Grace Patrick turned herself in. She was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. She was just 17 years old. The state chose to charge her as an adult. The reaction was immediate and emotional. Her grandfather, Dennis Nolan, held a press conference defending her. He insisted the police had made a mistake. "There's nothing," he said, "that puts the gun in her hand." He described his granddaughter as devastated and confused, saying she kept asking him, "Why are they doing this to me?" But investigators were confident. They hadn't found the murder weapon, but they believed they didn't need it. The evidence they had, they said, spoke volumes. As the case gained national attention, a portrait began to emerge, not just of a tragedy, but of a teenager who may have orchestrated and then documented her own parents' deaths. The motive? Still unclear. Was it rage, trauma, a desire for attention, or something darker? An attempt to insert herself into the true crime narratives she seemed to follow so closely? Kristen and James Brock were, by all accounts, loving parents. They were active in their church, known in their community, and devoted to their daughters. No history of abuse, no public fights, no warning signs, yet someone decided they had to die. And now, the spotlight that once shone sympathetically on Sarah has turned cold and accusatory. She faces a long legal battle, a trial that will likely unearth disturbing new details, and a public that's still trying to reconcile how a grieving child became a murder suspect. In the end, we're left with haunting questions. What really happened in that house on February 20th? Was this the work of a broken teen or a calculating killer? And what drives someone to turn their family's tragedy into a story they try to sell to strangers online? In the digital age, where mourning and performance often blur, Sarah Grace Patrick's case forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Not every tear on TikTok is real, and sometimes the person begging for justice might be the one who created the crime in the first place. If you found this story shocking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime cases.